What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Before I get into this video, I want to give a big shout out to the brother Aaron for showing love to the channel with the donation via the PayPal. Much respect to you for showing love once again to the channel. The term point forward is a term that you heard very frequently, I'd say starting in the 1990s. You start hearing that term a lot more frequently with players such as Scottie Pippen, players like Anthony Mason, especially when Anthony Mason played for the Charlotte Hornets. Grant Hill is another one. And then, of course, you heard it the most with LeBron Ramon James. But when did this term first get coined? Some point to Rick Barry. Some say that Rick Barry was the first one to play the point forward position. And there's a lot of truth to that. But the term point forward was first phrased and coined back in 1984. When during the playoffs, the Milwaukee Bucks had a string of injuries to their point guards. So, because of these injuries, Don Nelson, who was the head coach at the time for the Milwaukee Bucks, told Marques Johnson, who was known for his ball handling and playmaking ability and passing ability, that essentially he would run the offense. And that he would not be moved to the point guard position, but instead would stay at his original forward position. Hence, saying that, Marques, you're going to be my point forward. And that's when the term was first used. Marques Johnson is one of the more underrated and unsung players in NBA history. He primarily played for the Milwaukee Bucks, but he also had a stint with the Los Angeles Clippers. Then he suffered a devastating neck injury, which kept him out the NBA for about 2 years before he played one final season where he was not anywhere near where he was before with the Golden State Warriors. But during his prime, he was one of the best all-around players in the NBA, one of the most feared players in the NBA. He may not have the most gaudy numbers, but believe you me, opposing players did not love or like going against this guy. Marques Johnson was 6'7", 220 pounds. He was quick, he was strong, he was fast, he was skilled, he was athletic. He was out of UCLA. And UCLA UCLA is not known for producing bums. But anyway, Marques Johnson was born in Natchitoches, Louisiana. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I believe it's Natchitoches, Louisiana. But he was raised in South Los Angeles, where he played high school basketball at Crenshaw High School in Crenshaw, Los Angeles, winning the Los Angeles City Section 4A Division Player of the Year Award in 1973. He later attended UCLA and became an All-American player on his basketball team under Coach John Wooden and Coach Gene Bartlow. In his sophomore season in 1974-75, Johnson helped to lead the Bruins to Coach John Wooden's 10th and final NCAA Division I men's basketball championship. Wooden retired from coaching after the season, and Gene Bartlow became the head coach. Johnson continued to excel, earning the first of his 2 first-team All-Pac-8 selections as a junior in 1976. He averaged 21.1 points and 11.1 rebounds per game in his senior season and won the inaugural John R. Wooden Award in addition to the USBWA College Player of the Year as the nation's top collegiate basketball player. Johnson also majored in theater arts at UCLA The Bruins retired his number 54 jersey in 1996. Johnson was selected third overall in the 1977 NBA draft by the Milwaukee Bucks, coached by Don Nelson. Johnson averaged 19.5 points per game and 10.6 rebounds per game in his first professional season and was named to the 1978 NBA All-Rookie team. In his second season in 1978-79, Johnson was the NBA's third leading scorer at 25.6 points per game behind George Gervin, who averaged 29.6, and Lloyd B. Free, who would eventually change his name to World B. Free, who averaged 28.8. He played in the 1979 NBA All-Star Game and was named to the All-NBA First Team. That season, in what was perhaps one of the best games of his career, on December 12, 1978, Johnson scored 40 points on a remarkable 74% shooting and grabbed 12 rebounds in a 120-114 win over the Phoenix Suns. However, despite having the sixth highest offensive efficiency rating and 13th highest defensive rating of any team, the Bucks would miss the playoffs with a 38-44 record. It would be the last time the Bucks would miss the playoffs during Johnson's tenure. The following season, on February 27, 1990, Johnson recorded a triple-double with 25 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 assists in a 119-110 victory against the Phoenix Suns. So he's eating up those Suns teams back then. During that year's playoffs, Johnson averaged 19.9 points and 6.9 rebounds in 43.7 minutes a game. In a tightly contested 7-game series, lost to the Sonics. It was the last season Milwaukee was in the Western Conference. See, that's another thing I think a lot of people don't realize, that back in the 70s, a lot of teams today that you know are that are known for being in one conference were in a different conference. But from 1966 to 1980, I used to know the number by heart, but I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, I think from 1966 to 1980, if I'm not mistaken, I think 14 NBA franchises, 14 joined the NBA. The league jumped from 9 teams to 23 teams during that time period. The Chicago Bulls in the 70s used to be a Western Conference team. The Spurs in the 70s used to be an Eastern Conference team. The Houston Rockets used to be an Eastern Conference team. The Milwaukee Bucks, as you heard before, used to be a Western Conference team. A lot of these teams switched around over the years. On November 2nd, 1980, Johnson scored 40 points along with 7 rebounds and 7 assists to lead the Bucks to a 135-121 victory over the Indiana Pacers. This was especially impressive as key teammates Junior Bridgman and Sidney Moncrief were limited due to injuries. On May 2nd, 1983, in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, Marques scored 33 points and grabbed 9 rebounds to lead the Bucks to a 4-0 sweep of Larry Bird and the Boston Celtics. Despite this, the Bucks would fall to the eventual champion Sixers, led by NBA MVP Moses Malone, during the next round in 5 games in what were contested matchups. It was the only series Philadelphia did not win in 4 games that postseason. It was in 1984, as I said before, when either Don Nelson or Marques Johnson coined the term point forward. Johnson helped lead Milwaukee to several division titles, 1980, 81, 82, 83, and 84. And Johnson and the Bucks reached as far as the Eastern Conference Finals twice, in 83 and 84. As I've said before, I've said this time and time again, the Milwaukee Bucks were the best team in the 1980s not to make it to an NBA Finals. They weren't better than the Lakers. They weren't better historically than the Sixers that decade. They weren't better than the Pistons. They were better than the Rockets. But of all the teams to not make it to the NBA Finals, they were the best team. That's why I never understood when you have people say, "Oh, Jordan lost to the Bucks," because their knowledge of the NBA is limited to the last 10 to 15 years. The Bucks have been a bad franchise since the early '90s, but they were not a bad franchise back in the '80s. In fact, they were a great franchise. They won 59 games in 1985 when the Bulls played them. In 1984, in the offseason, Don Nelson, who was also the Bucks general manager as well as coach, traded Johnson, forward guard Junior Bridgman, forward Harvey Catchings, and cash the Clippers in exchange for forward Terry Cummins and guards Craig Hodges, later to be known for his tenure with the Bulls, and Ricky Pierce, who of course had a long established tenure with the Bucks. Matter of fact, I believe Ricky Pierce has a record for most points averaged for a six-man-a-year winner. This was a homecoming for Johnson as he grew up and attended high school just a few miles from the Clippers arena. In his first season with the Clippers, he had career lows in scoring and shooting. He was then moved to guard in 85-86, and he bounced back with an all-star season and was named the NBA Comeback Player of the Year. Unfortunately, unlike with the Bucks, the Clippers struggled to win. During the game in the 86-87 season, Johnson suffered a neck injury which effectively ended his career. He missed the next two full seasons. Came back briefly during the 89-90 season, playing only 10 games before retiring on December 27th, 1989. After his career in the NBA, he made some appearances in movies. Most notably, he appeared in White Man Can't Jump. He also appeared in the films Blue Chips, Forget Paris, and Love in Action in Chicago. And Johnson is still actively enhancing his creative roots, writing screenplays and short stories. His role in the aforementioned White Man Can't Jump as Raymond was praised, and Johnson claims fans still regularly quote the movie to him if they recognize him in public. Since 2015, Johnson has worked as both a full-time and part-time analyst for Milwaukee Bucks telecast on Fox Sports Wisconsin. And Marques Johnson claims that still, at age 67, he can still dunk the basketball. This guy was quite an athletic freak, man. Like I said, he was strong, he was quick, fast, great jumping ability. He was a great rebounder for his position. He could score. He could play make. He really didn't have any weaknesses for the game at that time, But anyway, just want to do a video showing love to Marques Johnson. Tell me what you guys think.